This is KGW News at noon.
Welcome to the News at Noon. I'm Drew Carney. We want to get right to our top story this afternoon. A MAX train hit and killed a man in Gresham early this morning. Gresham police tell us they were called to the MAX light rail around 2:30 this morning. The man was within the restricted area of the tracks between the Ruby Junction and Civic Drive MAX stations. Police say he may have also been wearing headphones, and investigators are looking at whether that contributed to the crash. The MAX Blue Line was down for about 3 hours between those two stations, reopening around 6:30 this morning. Anyone with information about this is asked to call the Gresham Police tip line. In Southeast Portland, one woman died and another was seriously injured in a single-car crash that happened in the Powell-Gilbert neighborhood. It's the 51st traffic-related death in Portland this year. Police responded to this crash just before 11 o'clock last night and found both women in the car. Southeast Tollgate was closed between 134th and 136th during the investigation, but that stretch of Tollgate is back open this afternoon. Multnomah County Commissioners are meeting right now to talk about increasing the fee that restaurants pay for health inspections. We can show you a live stream of that meeting right here. The commissioners are expected to vote on the increase today, but restaurant owners are pushing back, saying that they can't afford to pay anymore. Amy Nichols owns both the Cheerful Tortoise and the Cheerful Bullpen in downtown Portland. She says if the fee increase passes, she'll be on the hook for more than $1,000 next year.
The commissioners need to give us a break. The city needs to give us a break. Business owners are leaving Portland not because of the crime. They're also leaving because of taxes and business licensing and increases. The inspection fee would increase by 6% next year. We'll let you know what happens once county commissioners vote. There's also a new development today in the Georgia election interference case. Former President Donald Trump's former campaign attorney, Sidney Powell, has taken a guilty plea deal. Powell is the second of the 18 co-defendants to accept a plea deal. Scott Hall took a deal last month. According to the agreement read in court, Powell is pleading guilty to 6 misdemeanor charges.
Count 1, conspiracy to commit intentional interference with the performance of election duties. The sentence would be 12 months probation. And counts 2 through 6 would also be 12 months probation consecutive to each other and to count 1 for a total term of essentially 6 years probation.
Powell must also, quote, testify truthfully about any co-defendants in this case. And she also has to give the district attorney's office any relevant documents to the case. She'll also be fined $6,000 and has to write an apology to Georgia and its residents. Back here locally, a former Oregon nurse convicted of sexually assaulting prison inmates will now spend the next 30 years in prison. 39-year-old Tony Klein was convicted in July on 17 counts related to sexual assault. He worked as a nurse at the Coffee Creek Women's Correctional Facility in Wilsonville from 2010 until 2018. Klein denies the charges and plans to appeal. The state has settled at least 11 cases involving women accusing Klein of sexual abuse, paying out close to $2 million, but at the same time admitting no wrongdoing. Portland Public Schools are moving closer to a teacher strike, a strike that would close all public schools in Oregon's largest school district. Last night, the district held a virtual meeting for families to talk about plans if teachers do walk off the job. KGW's Alma McCarty has more on that meeting and the latest on those contract negotiations.
We recognize that the job of an educator is different today. We also understand that the needs of our students have continued to grow as well.
And due to those changes, teachers in Oregon's largest school system have been pushing the district for more funds and more resources. Administrators pushing back, reporting a $228 million difference between the district's proposal and the union's proposal. The district's bargaining team putting that into perspective.
There is not enough money in administration if we cut all of administration and had no central services to bridge the gap in the PAT proposal and the PPS proposal.
The latest bargaining session Tuesday, which included an adjustment around cost of living salary increases, once again coming up short.
We have repeatedly asked the Portland Association teachers for a short list of their priorities, and they've continued to say that it's a comprehensive package. And you know what they say about that: when everything is a priority, then is anything really a priority, or is nothing the priority?
PAT firing back, issuing a statement that reads, in part, when the district is ready to talk seriously about smaller class sizes, wage increases that keep up with cost of living so teachers can stay and work in the district, increased mental health and special education staff to support our students, we will bargain into the night. So with a strike that could impact thousands of teachers and tens of thousands of families potentially less than 2 weeks away,
the district will have no choice but to close schools to students until the strike ends.
PBS answered questions from concerned parents during a virtual meeting Wednesday night.
A number of questions here about contingencies.
With the options limited, including access to self-directed lessons from home and grab-and-go meals that will be available to families who qualify. And while varsity sports will continue, other extracurriculars are out.
We plan to remain at the bargaining table for as long as necessary to reach a solution and avoid a strike.
Alma McCarty, KGW News.
All right, let's take a break from our news headlines this afternoon to talk about the weather as we show you two shots right now. These are both live looks. One on the coast in Newport right there on your left side. Right side of the screen, downtown Portland on this Thursday afternoon. So Newport doesn't look too bad, Rod Hill, but we know what it looks like outside the station here.
So you're picking Newport over Portland right now? That's what I got out of that?
When I took a glance, I thought that was the prettier of two pictures, yes.
Well, I would agree. All right. We do have quite a bit of clearing taking place. So behind me is a good old-fashioned visible satellite picture. It is a true snapshot from the satellite up in space of what the cloud cover looks like. So everything that's black, showing basically no cloudiness. The white shades are clouds. So you can see how it's clearing up north of Portland. We do have clear skies out in Camas. Gresham is now cleared out, and there are breaks in cloud cover down toward Salem. Up over the mountains, you're above everything, of course. So Timberline's been beautiful all day. We showed you the Uquinna Bay camera. Out in the Columbia River Gorge, this is pretty. This is like a Theory Ridge winery out in Hood River. You can see Mount Adams just sticking up from the back of their vineyard. But then you get back into the valley. Not all of wine country is foggy. Some areas are reporting clear skies, but Domain Serene Winery just starting to see the visibility slightly improve, but really foggy out there overall. So right now, a mix of fog and sun. The clearing for Portland looks like it's coming in from the east side, meaning that's where it's now clearing. And from the north side, when you get just across the Columbia River up into Clark County, we have sunshine being reported. So I still think clearing will take place pretty rapidly over the next hour or so, and we'll have a chance to get up to about 70. Yesterday, it was 73. Kind of disappointing, I know, if it's still cloudy, because if it is still cloudy, it's only in the 50s. It's chilly, Drew. Back to you.
All right, we'll have more from Rod coming up here in a few minutes, but we do want to get back to some local headlines this afternoon. Lawmakers from Oregon and Idaho are set to meet today to talk about the next steps for the Greater Idaho movement. Conservative counties in eastern Oregon want to become part of Idaho because they share similar political stances. This is the lawmakers' first official meeting. House members in Idaho did extend the invitation back in February. Oregon, Idaho, and the federal government would all have to okay any agreement to annex that part of eastern Oregon. Meanwhile, a bipartisan group of Oregon lawmakers is also holding hearings on the state's drug addiction crisis. So they met for the first time yesterday in Salem. This is a look at the meeting, trying to tackle drug abuse and public safety issues. Here's a listen to State Senator Kate Lieber from Beaverton on the need for both drug treatment and drug prevention.
We're here today because the current state of the drug crisis in Oregon is unacceptable. People don't feel safe on the streets. Oregonians are not getting the addiction treatment that they need when they need it. We are grappling with cheap, deadly fentanyl that has hit our streets in the last sort of 3 or 4 years in a big, big way.
The committee will meet again on November 6th. At that time, law enforcement officers will testify. Other hearings are also scheduled before the full legislature meets next year.